The Station Strangler. Welcome back to Crime Time with Mike. Before we begin, I want to thank you for your patience. This video took longer than expected, and I'm truly grateful to everyone who continues supporting this channel. Now, let us step back in time to the early 1990s, when parents across Cape Town lived with a fear so heavy it changed how an entire generation grew up. This is the chilling story of the Station Strangler. The city, Cape Town. The Cape Flats, a sprawling, poverty-stricken area on the outskirts of Cape Town. By the late 80s, it was a community already burdened by crime, gangs, and poverty. Police resources were thin, and trust in law enforcement was fragile. For many children, daily life meant walking long distances, through open fields or across train stations, just to reach school. But during this time, something far more sinister than gangs or poverty was stalking the Cape Flats. One by one, young boys, some as young as 6, began to vanish. They were last seen near train stations. That detail would later give the predator his infamous name, the Station Strangler. The scene is tense, with search parties combing the area, flashlights cutting through the darkness. There's an air of urgency as everyone knows something is off. People are on high alert, their hearts racing as they scan the sandy dunes, hoping for a breakthrough. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, each moment stretching, as they search for answers. The nightmare came into focus when shallow graves were discovered in the dunes around Mitchell's Plain and Strandfontein. Inside those sandy mounds were the small, lifeless bodies of missing boys. Each death carried chilling similarities: strangulation, sexual assault, and disturbing positioning, as if the killer followed a ritual. This wasn't random, this was methodical, and it was the work of a serial killer. The headlines were all buzzing with the Station Strangler. As the number of bodies grew, the panic spread. Parents warned their children not to talk to strangers. Community patrols were set up. Boys were told to avoid train stations at all costs. But despite the warnings, more bodies kept turning up. A community under siege. Parents were in tears, church gatherings held as well as community meetings. For families on the Cape Flats, every missing child poster felt like another strike of terror. Mothers refused to let their sons walk alone. Fathers joined night patrols and churches held vigils, begging for divine protection. But the killer was always one step ahead. By the early 1990s, the number of known victims had risen past 20, and fear transformed into outrage. Parents are demanding answers. They want to know why the police still have no suspect in custody. A basic photo of Norman Simons in a classroom setting with schoolchildren playing. In April 1994, the country was stunned when police announced an arrest. The suspect was not some shadowy figure lurking in alleys. He was a respected primary school teacher. Norman Afzal Simons. Soft-spoken, well-educated, fluent in multiple languages, Simons did not fit the image of a monster. But beneath the quiet surface, there were disturbing whispers. Photos of missing boy Elroy Van Rooy. Police connected Simons to the murder of a 10-year-old boy named Elroy Van Rooy. Elroy had disappeared while walking home. Witnesses claimed they saw Simons with him near a train station. Days later, Elroy's body was found buried in the sand. Courtroom buzz, sketch artists, and cameras flashing. Everywhere. Simons' trial became front-page news. Prosecutors painted him as a man living a double life. A teacher by day, predator by night. They described his obsession with young boys and revealed chilling claims. Simons allegedly confessed to hearing voices of his deceased brother, commanding him to kill. For the public, it was the perfect explanation. The monster finally unmasked. But the evidence told a different story. There was no forensic link tying Simons to the long chain of murders. No DNA, no fingerprints, only witness testimony placing him with Elroy. In the end, Simons was convicted of just one murder, that of Elroy Van Rooy. He was sentenced to life in prison, but the larger question remained. Was he the Station Strangler, or just a convenient scapegoat? Even after Simons' conviction, the murders didn't sit right with investigators. At least 22 children had been killed, but Simons was only ever tied to one. Some police officers privately believed there was more than one killer. Journalists suggested the possibility of a network, a ring of predators preying on children. Families of the victims were torn. Some believed justice had been served. Others argued the real Station Strangler was still free. Did they get the wrong man? To this day, no one has ever been convicted for the majority of the killings. The Station Strangler case left scars that never healed. For parents, it was a reminder of how quickly innocence can be stolen. For communities, it was proof of how fragile safety can be when justice fails. And for South Africa, it remains one of the darkest chapters in its criminal history. Was Norman Simons truly the Station Strangler? Or does the real killer still walk free, his secrets buried beneath the sands of the Cape Flats? The truth may never be known. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like and maybe subscribe.